So my name is Kimberly Garcia, and I am the Family Community Engagement Specialist at ALA, and I will be talking about the Ruler program and specifically the Meta Moment and how we can use this to be better parents and help our students be their best selves. So we will be talking about how thoughts and feelings influence how we respond to big, intense feelings, what we can do to manage these feelings and teach our children how to manage their feelings, and the 4 steps of the meta moment. So, when we think about parenting and our emotions influence how we act, our memory, learning, decision making and judgment, relationship quality, and our physical and mental health. What that means is that if you can think about if you've had a rough day and you go and you pick up your student from school and they're telling you all about their day, and maybe you're not fully listening to what they're saying because you're thinking, I have an unread email that I need to follow up on, and I have several things that I wasn't able to complete today. And it might be because you might be feeling a little stressed. And so that emotion is influencing your memory and your attention while listening to your student. And that's okay because we all have those days. And the meta moment helps us understand those feelings and recenter ourselves so that way we can make sure that we're being our best selves. It also could influence decision making and judgment. So if we've had a bad day and we're asked a question, maybe we'll say no or we'll reject an idea right away simply because we're just trying to get through the day or get through the situation that you might be in. And that's just caused by an emotion of stress or an emotion of frustration. This could also influence the relationship quality we have, whether that's somebody else who's asking you a question, maybe it's a coworker or maybe it's a friend. And if we are quick to judge, or if we make a decision that isn't really what our best self would do, then that might hinder that relationship a little bit more. And then just our physical and mental health. If we're stressed and we are having a rough time, mentally, we might be exhausted. We may not be able to do as much as we would like to. And then physically, there are times where you can get headaches and you might feel tired. So you would like to sleep because your body is just exhausted from all of the emotions that you might be feeling or the situations that you might be in, and then the emotions that that causes. So, talking about the meta moment, there are 4 steps. And the first step is sense, which is largely contributed to outside factors and things that we cannot control. And pausing, so taking a moment to stop and think, kind of thinking about that saying, think before you speak. And number 3 is seeing your best self, so a little bit more of that thinking element. And then step 4 is strategize and act. So if we think about step 1 is sense. So again, this is an outside factor. It could be a thought. So if you're anticipating a difficult situation or person's actions, something that someone does or says to hurt your feelings or cause unpleasant feelings. A place, a place where you've had an unpleasant experience, maybe thinking about a restaurant that maybe you didn't like their food before. So if it's suggested that you go to that restaurant, it may not be, um, you know, a good idea for you just because you haven't had a good experience there, or an event. So, thinking about the holidays that have just passed, maybe we weren't able to spend it with our parents or our siblings like we usually have, but these are just outside factors that are causing an emotional trigger inside of ourselves. And it's just an outside factor. So, the next step would be to pause. When we're triggered by these things, if you think about the mood meter, it causes us to go into the red zone. So if you're not familiar with the red zone, they're typically unpleasant feelings. Think of words like angry or frustrated or unpleasant. And we are set into our fight, flight, or freeze mindset. So I know we're quite familiar with fight or flight, but the freeze could also be in there. Maybe you just pause, you kind of zone out a little bit, you go somewhere else, and you're not mentally present in the situation that you might be in. And this is a good opportunity to just take a break and kind of do a self check and see what's going on. So, if we are using the example of the holidays, if we are at home and we're with our immediate family, maybe you're really missing your parents or your siblings, and you might be opening presents with your family, and mentally you go somewhere else, you zone out, if you will. Recognizing that you zoned out, and then understanding why did I zone out? Is it because I'm missing my family? Maybe. Well, then the next step would be to see your best self. You know, who do you want to be? How would you want others to see you, and the ideal outcome? So if your family were to, like, let's say you're with your significant other and they see you kind of spaced out a little bit, maybe they begin to worry. Is this really what you would like for your significant other to be doing when you're supposed to be having a happy time, or maybe you're having opening gifts together? Um, is this your best self? So the ideal outcome, maybe the ideal outcome is that although you are missing your mom and your siblings, maybe you can FaceTime them and you could be all together digitally and still enjoy the company that you have with your family while you're opening presents or doing other holiday activities. And thinking about that, what qualities do you possess while you're at your best? Consider this: your best self might look different in different roles. So what that means is that maybe when you're at work, your best self looks a little bit different than when you're at home with your family. And maybe your best self looks a little bit different when you're with your parents or your siblings. Either way, just thinking about your best self and what you would like to be seen as can help us get to there and understand what we have to do to get there. So that goes to step 4: strategize and act. So this is really about making our plan. What do we have to do to be our best self? We can use a thought strategy or an action strategy. So, an action strategy is more physical, and it could be something as simple as using the holiday example and calling your family and having them on your iPad there. It's something that you have to physically do in order to make your situation better. A thought strategy could be something like practicing a meditation or a visualization. The first few are physical, and then the last few are uh, thoughtful. So, physical actions would be breathing, 5 breaths in, or 5 seconds breathing in, and then 8 seconds breathing out. Distraction, maybe refocusing back into what's happening, or if you're in a store and there's quite a few people and you don't feel comfortable, focusing on, okay, I'm going to look for this specific chip in this aisle, and that could help you recenter yourselves. Another good one with distraction is kind of, it's just like a senses thing. So if you think about 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can feel, 3 things that you can taste, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can see, or something like that. Physical distance or space. So maybe since we've all been cooped up in our house, if we are feeling a little frustrated with our family, or just frustrated with having to be inside all the time, maybe we can go on a distance walk in a park. Or maybe we can just hang out in our own rooms for a little while and kind of give each other a break. And then the last few options are thoughtful. So, again, relaxation, mindfulness, going onto YouTube and finding a short meditation, reframing. So, kind of looking at the situation from a different perspective. Or this does call for a little bit more of patience, just because you really have to find what the other perspective might be. And positive self talk is just giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, being self compassionate, and understanding that you might need a break or you might need a little pick me up in the form of like you're doing a good job or you're doing the best that you can. And then lastly, visualization. So maybe this is like when we go to our happy place. If you can think about that while you're in a situation that might be a little bit tough. So, how can our best self help with parenting? Maybe when we think about our children or our students, and if we're frustrated and we're kind of lashing out to them, thinking about, okay, I recognize that I am lashing out, and it might be because of work. So, what's my best self going to do? I'm going to take care of my work things, and then afterwards, I'll be able to go ahead and hang out with my student a little bit more. Or maybe we can go on a bike ride so I can distract myself from the work things. Just kind of implementing the meta moment a little bit more into our parenting techniques can help our students be more emotionally well rounded, and help encouraging them to be their best selves will also help us as parents and understanding how we can support our student. If our student says, Mom, I really need a break. I'm tired of being in the house and I'm tired of seeing everyone. That's okay. That's allowed because we've been at home for quite a while, and it's perfectly normal to have those feelings. So allowing them that space, not kind of forcing them to stay around if they don't want to, They're recognizing that they need to take a break, and that is a big step, and them being able to understand and regulate their own feelings. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is on the screen. It is kgarcia10@sasd.net. Thank you so much, and we'll hope to see you next time.